Soraya appeared beneath Elarna's vessel like a garden dreaming across an entire planet. Forests carried villages among their branches, rivers curved between flowering cities, and vessels transported travelers toward new journeys. Elarna's navigation map had brought her here, but its line ended at the planet's atmosphere. The rest remained unfinished. That no longer frightened her as it once had. The Ummi were not meant to possess the universe or demand an entire journey at once. They entered it, they listened, and through movement, direction revealed itself. Soraya's place of commerce was alive with exchange. Travelers shared living sculptures, musical pods, memory vessels, and unfinished maps. There, Elarna learned about the offering garden. Every visiting Ummi could contribute something created through their journey. An offering did not need to be finished in form. It only needed to be true in frequency. But over time, the tradition had changed. Creators began elevating their offerings above others. Artificial halos attracted larger gatherings, while the Celestial Canopy recorded every public response as an echo of light. Soraya still spoke of truth. Increasingly, it measured truth by visibility. Lumera, Soraya's celebrated flowering creator, welcomed Elarna into the garden. She was radiant, generous, and publicly magnificent. Her flash blooms dominated the Celestial Canopy, opening in enormous bursts of coral, violet, amber, and blue. Wherever Lumera's flowers appeared, observers gathered. Elarna admired her immediately. She noticed that some new blossoms were forming before the older ones had fully matured, but the spectacle made the imbalance easy to overlook. Lumera had made her gift visible to an entire planet. For the first time, Elarna wondered how her own offering might appear beside such magnificence. Away from the public displays, Elarna found a quiet alcove and listened. Her direction star slowed until it aligned with the roots beneath her. The first memory to answer was Ezingi Sayo, the friend who had found his planet and taught Elarna to celebrate another traveler's departure. Then came Nesibindi, the young Ummi who had been brave enough to ask for help when he could not understand his direction map. Friendship, humility, courage, movement without certainty. Through pattern listening, Elarna braided their memories with her direction star's pulse. A closed indigo seed formed in her hands, the Wayfinder Seed. Elarna presented the Wayfinder Seed to the garden. Observers waited for it to open, perform, or provide direction. But nothing visible happened. The seed remained closed. After a time, the gathering dispersed. A few travelers quietly felt its resonance. One navigation token warmed, one being paused as though remembering something important, but they continued their journeys without publicly responding. Above the seed, the Celestial Canopy recorded almost nothing. Elarna had believed the offering was complete when it formed in her hands. Now she wondered whether completion was something a creator could know without the universe confirming it. From the edge of the clearing, Valora watched. Valora was a resonance tuner, with hollow chambers capable of singing across many frequencies. She listened to the seed after the other observers had gone. "Your offering is not silent," she told Elarna. "Its frequencies are simply unfamiliar to the garden." Valora released one controlled note. Gold, teal, and violet waves surrounded the seed, making its quiet pulse visible for the first time. "Its value is already present," she said. "I can help the garden recognize it sooner." Valora did not promise to create value. She offered recognition, and that made the shortcut difficult to resist. Elarna knew that good things required time, but she did not know how much time. What if the observers who needed the seed never encountered it? What if waiting was not patience, but waste? She placed one hand over her direction star and extended the other toward the garden's authorization node. I permit the tuning. Only then did Valora begin to sing. Layered frequencies compressed around the seed, forcing its spirit memories outward before gestation was complete. Ezingi Sayo's joy became a radiant projection. Nesabindi's courage became a repeated message. The seed remained physically closed, but its memories had been made to perform. The garden finally noticed. Refracted frequencies swept through Soraya, navigation tokens ignited, direction maps filled with luminous paths, observers called others into the clearing, echoes multiplied across the Celestial Canopy. Then Elarna's identity rose above the garden. Her profile, her crescent, and her direction star transformed into an immense constellation. The universe appeared to confirm what she had believed from the beginning. The seed was valuable. She had been right to create it. And for a while, the difference between recognition and truth became almost impossible to see. Observers interpreted the refracted messages through their strongest fears and desires. Those who feared uncertainty built protective shelters. Those who desired recognition created elevated platforms. Travelers longing for belonging entwined their roots and tendrils into communal circles. Others received maps that pointed toward the community itself. They organized their lives around what they believed the seed was telling them. The relationships they formed were sincere. The comfort they experienced was real. But the frequency binding them together was artificial. The offering no longer reflected one truth. It reflected each observer back to themselves and called the reflection direction. The refracted frequency did not stop with the observers. It returned to Elarna. Echoes traveled into the Celestial Canopy and looped back through her direction star. Its steady pulse accelerated. Elarna began creating faster. Before one offering stabilized, she started another. She repeatedly checked the canopy. She measured her echoes against Lumera's flash blooms and called the comparison improvement. Then her navigation map began changing. Its original path bent back toward Soraya. New lines chased the brightest clusters of response. Elarna had altered her creation to attract the garden. Now the garden was altering her. Tavari had come to Soraya only to replenish himself. His tree-like species could root temporarily, recover its resources, and continue traveling. His harness remained packed, and the departure path waited behind him. Then the altered seed reached his deepest desire. It reflected Soraya back to him as a permanent home. "Your offering showed me where I belong," he told Elarna. Both of Tavari's legs opened into roots. They descended beyond the replenishment layer and began fusing with Soraya's permanent systems. "The seed was never meant to give destinations," Elarna said. Tavari looked peacefully toward the grove. But it did. Elarna confronted Valora. Tavari was supposed to continue his journey. The seed carried memories of finding one's way. It was never meant to tell anyone where to go. Valora gestured toward the community. "You released an offering. You did not retain authority over every meaning others might discover within it. They are hearing messages I never placed there. They are hearing themselves through what you created." Valora warned that removing the tuning would release every echo, dissolve Elarna's celestial recognition, and break the frequency holding the community together. Elarna could not correct the distortion while secretly retaining its rewards. Responsibility would require loss. A faint underground frequency led Elarna beyond Soraya's measured garden. At the neglected edge, she discovered Oru. Above ground, he appeared to be a dead and weathered stump. Beneath the soil, he was alive through an enormous root system. His roots redirected water, restored depleted ground, and nourished dormant seeds. Life continued far beyond his visible form. None of it entered the Celestial Canopy. No echoes carried his name. Oru had been sustaining Soraya's forgotten edge for generations without recognition. Through him, Elarna encountered a different understanding of growth. Visible expansion was not the only evidence of life. With her palms against Oru's roots, Elarna listened beneath the amplification. Oru separated the tangled frequencies layer by layer until one quiet indigo note remained. Inside it, Elarna heard Ezingisayo. She heard Nesabindi. And braided beside their memories, she heard her own original frequency. The tuning had distorted what the garden received, but it had not destroyed the seed's truth. Then Elarna listened for her direction star. At first, she heard nothing. Finally, one faint pulse answered. She had become so dependent on the universe responding that she could barely hear herself. But her star was still alive. Now she knew what she had to choose. The great resonance began before the entire planet. The Wayfinder Seed had been selected for permanent placement in the Celestial Canopy. Lumera celebrated as radiant flash blooms opened overhead. Valora prepared the final tuning. Across Soraya, Tavari's roots descended another layer. The closed seed rose toward a golden celestial cradle, while Elarna's name shone brighter than ever. This was permanence, legacy, proof that her journey had produced something worthy of remembrance. The entire garden waited for Elarna's authorization. She stood before the greatest external reward Soraya could offer, and listened beneath the applause for the buried root note. Elarna placed her hand upon the authorization node. Then she withdrew her permission. The tuning lattice began to unravel. Every accumulated echo detached from the Celestial Canopy and streamed beyond Soraya, beyond recovery. Elarna did not preserve a private constellation. She did not retain a portion of the recognition. Her celestial profile dissolved and her name disappeared with it. Across the community, artificial bindings loosened. Maps became blank. Fixed pathways reopened. Some observers felt relieved. Others were confused, grieving, or resentful. The seed settled intact upon its pedestal, still closed, still alive. Elarna protected its truth by surrendering everything the distortion had given her. With her navigation map temporarily blank, Elarna carried the unopened seed to Oru. She placed it uncovered on undisturbed soil. She did not bury it. She did not plant it, name it, display it, or command it to grow. Oru's nearest root remained at a respectful distance. The edge could not promise the seed life. It could not guarantee what the seed would become or how long its gestation might take. It could only offer something the garden had forgotten how to give. A place where nothing demanded proof. Elarna rose and began walking toward her vessel. Elarna left without knowing whether the seed would survive. She did not know what it would become, how long gestation would take, whether anyone would remember her offering, or whether surrendering the echoes had been worth it. Her name no longer appeared in the Celestial Canopy. No applause followed her toward the vessel. Her navigation map remained almost entirely blank. Then, as Elarna continued moving, one thin indigo gold line appeared. It revealed no destination. It offered no promise. It simply answered her movement. Elarna looked back once. Then she crossed the threshold and continued into the universe. Rain reached Soraya's unmeasured edge after Elarna departed. It moved across Oru's ancient bark and washed the final traces of artificial tuning from the seed. No observer witnessed what happened next. No echo entered the Celestial Canopy. From the underside of the still-closed seed, one tiny root emerged and entered the soil. Deep below, Oru redirected a narrow underground stream toward it. His roots changed the water's path, but they did not touch the seed or determine what it would become. The shell remained closed. Its final form remained hidden. Beyond the reach of every measure, the seed chose the soil.